checking in with a specialist up in the Owens Valley who targets carp and bass in the canals and reservoirs and some of the places that you might overlook. He also guides in the normal places in the Owens River and Hot Creek and Lake Crowley. Jarett Coons is the owner of Sierra Mountain Trout Guide Service, but he does specialize in this warm water species, these carp and bass, in some of the places you might not have thought of. And the flies that he uses are specialized. They're different and a little bit unique for this kind of fishing. So take a look, and he kind of went through some of the things that he uses.
Okay, so we're here on the Big Pine Canal and we're talking carp. So we got an interesting dynamic here. We got a little bit of current and moving water, and we got carp that like to cruise up and down. So we got to lead and target these fish, and they'll do some crazy things. In the summertime, they'll get up on top of the weed beds, and they'll feed like this, eating off the tops. So I'll throw something really light, almost like a dry fly at them, and you'll try to intercept them as they come along. So a big sparkle pupa, Gary LaFontaine's sparkle pupa, is a really good way to do that. Really light, really stealthy. It's like a dry fly, but it'll sink, and you can get it on top and drag it and slide it a little bit in front of those fish and wait for them to come along and chomp it. No different than Gary tied it, just on a number 10 hook. Bigger hook, you may want to go like a 2XL. They will break your hooks off, big carp will. So that's the only difference from the carp version of it, is just make sure your hook is nice and heavy to hold those big fish. So that's a good top of the column fly when you find those fish kind of eating on top of the weeds and up high in the surface. Even in the evenings, taking midges and dry flies, this is a good one to have for dry fly carp. You can catch dry fly carp out here sometimes. So we'll step it down. We want to get a little bit deeper, a little more in the column. Those fish are cruising by. They're not eating off the bottom, but you can tell that they're kind of feeding. They'll knock damselflies out of the weeds, out of the tules on the sides, and then they'll eat them. So this is my damselfly. It's my carp damsel. You got the dumbbell eyes on there, so it's heavier. It's not as heavy as the coachman, but it's a good mid-column fly. You can swing it a little bit, and when you lead it on them, you can sink it down about mid-column or in the shallower areas. You got some real shallow areas of the canal that are kind of gravelly. A good fly for that. Stealthy, small. Got the dumbbell eyes again. Hook up, rides hook up, so lessens the snags. And I put the CDC collar on it there. Lots of life, wiggles really good. This is my Coonsies carp damsel. So that's a good mid-column light fly. And we'll step it up to my fly, the carp coachman, which I made for Owens Valley carp. Let's see, where's a pretty little specimen here? We'll go with this little guy here. Now this is a good heavy one. Weighs about 0.5 gram. Hook up. And this thing dives straight down. So you get a little bit of current, you get them feeding on those gravel bars, throw it in front of them, let it sink down real fast. This will get on the bottom when they're taking stuff off the bottom. When it starts to warm up a little bit, the crawdads come out, you get more bottom bugs coming out, dragonfly larvae, stuff like that. This imitates kind of a lot of things. Again, we got a cool little collar on there with the phyllo plume still in it, and we got the little beacon tail. That's going to stand straight up like that. And that little tail is going to stick up in the air like a little orange beacon, and they can see that thing and they'll come over and pick it up. Great in the flats. Catch trout. I've got catfish on this fly too. The carp coachman, you can get this at Solitude Fly Company or any shop that sells Solitude flies. I'm on Solitude's design team, and we'd love for you to get your hands on some carp coachman.
That was cool. Appreciate Jarett Coons going through some of the patterns he uses for carp in the Owens Valley. Carp is a little bit something that people maybe hadn't thought of when they think of going up the 395 and fishing that area on the Eastern Sierra. But you get down into the desert and some of those reservoirs and canals in the area, there are carp, and they're really fun to target, but very different. So if you want to do this, you might want to check out Jarett Coons, who knows what he's doing. It's a different technique, different gear, different flies, as you can see there, and just a whole different strategy. So let us know. We'll put you in touch with him, and you can get out there and target that elusive ghost fish, those carp. Let us know. We'll put you in contact. We'll see you next time right here on the Backcast.